At the time this video goes live, Moon Knight will have aired its first episode, and I meant to make this video before that had came out, but I have ADHD. I didn't write down the idea for the video. I got excited about making a video for the Suicide Squad, and here we are. So just keep in mind going into this video that at the time of writing the script and recording it, Moon Knight has yet to come out. Before we get started, I'd like to ask that you hit the sub button and the bell because I do upload videos every Friday, and giving a sub to show some love would be much appreciated. Now, I hear a lot of people call Moon Knight basically Marvel's Batman, which isn't too terribly far off, but I do think there's a lot of character differences between the two of them. Batman doesn't dress in white, he doesn't have a mental disorder, and he doesn't get his powers from an Egyptian moon god. But everything else is pretty much the same. I mean, he fights crime at night, he throws boomerangs, he has a jet, so pretty much the same character, right? Moon Knight actually has a quote about why he wears white, stating, "I don't wear white to hide myself. I wear it so they'll see me coming, so they know who it is. Because when they see white, it doesn't matter how good a target I am. Their hands shake so bad, they couldn't hit the moon." Which I gotta say is pretty baller. I thought it was just because the moon was white, so, you know, the more you know. This show is definitely taking a darker approach than any other Marvel property that has happened up to this point so far. I mean, No Way Home had some pretty dark moments, but Kevin Feige had this to say. "There are moments when Moon Knight is wailing on another character and it is loud and brutal, and the knee-jerk reaction is, we're gonna pull back on this, right? No, we're not pulling back. There's a tonal shift, this is a different thing, this is Moon Knight." And that just gets me amped to watch this show. I need some of the Batman's level of dark and gritty to hit the MCU, like come on dude. So now let's talk about the personas that we will be seeing in the show and talk about their roles in his everyday life. Mark Spector is the main persona and was a mercenary who came incredibly close to dying in Egypt while in front of the statue of the moon god Khonshu. He gained consciousness and said that he was resurrected to become the fighter for the moon god and go forward as Moon Knight. And of course he goes to New York to do this because crime doesn't really exist anywhere but in New York and Marvel. Now initially he created a few different personas to help him gain information in his crime fighting endeavors, Steve Grant being the baker millionaire and Jake Lockley being the taxi driver. Eventually the personas took on a life of their own and he was diagnosed to have dissociative identity disorder, and it became difficult for him to tell the difference between the personas that he created and the ones that actually exist within his head. Steven was actually the name he was being called at that job in the trailers, so they might have actually just kind of morphed these two personas together and make Steven in more of the lower class living situation. We'll get to see a little bit of Mr. Knight as well, who is basically an alternate personality of Moon Knight himself and is more of a calm, more mellow persona of Moon Knight and nothing like the guy who brutally beats bad guys at night. He's pretty much the public face of Moon Knight when he's talking to the people or the cops and so forth. Now initially in the trailer, Khonshu is seen as something that his mind is doing to him, like playing tricks on him, but Khonshu is a real being and I'm glad that they are allowing it to stay as such. I mean, with Gore the God Butcher coming to the MCU, there has to be gods, right? So why not an Egyptian moon god? The main bad guy of the show is going to be Arthur Harrow, and a secondary villain being Anton Mogar, also known as the Midnight Man. Harrow doesn't have a large history in the comics, very little actually, so I think he might just be playing one role, but two characters are kind of morphing into one. So the Arthur Harrow name is either a cover-up or that is legitimately his name and will just become a villain under another name down the line. One theory that is floating around is that he is actually Sun King for a few reasons. For one, Harrow in the comics is a doctor, and in the trailers he seems kind of more like a spiritual cult leader or something along those lines, and Sun King actually has a group of followers, so that does fit actually pretty well. Now Sun King was originally sent to the Ravencroft Institute, which is a mental institution that I believe is actually the same one from Venom Let There Be Carnage, but I could be wrong there because I try to block those movies out of my memory if I can. He was diagnosed with bipolar disorder from the same doctor who formerly diagnosed Mark Spector, and then he became obsessed with Egyptian mythology. Where Moon Knight is under the moon god Khonshu, Sun God actually went forward as the manifestation as the Egyptian sun god Amun-Ra and set out to basically kill Moon Knight. So there is a fair amount of evidence to support that this could be the direction that they go with that character. Because Harrow in the trailers does not look like a doctor and he seems to be tampering with some kind of magic, so it could be a possibility. Although the purple magic and summoning beings from the underground does not sound like something that the embodiment of a sun god would do, but it is just a theory. Now the secondary villain is Midnight Man, whose actor actually did pass away unfortunately due to a skiing accident. Funny enough, Midnight Man also doesn't have a very lengthy history in comics. He was just a villain that stole art and jewels at night, not even for money, just to keep them, dying from cancer not long after. So he might just be just like a sort of quick in and out villain of the story, kind of like US Agent was from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or maybe even the White Vision was from the WandaVision show. But that's basically all that's been confirmed as far as plot and characters are concerned. So now that you are caught up with a fair amount of the information about Moon Knight and his different personas and characters, hopefully before you watch the first episode, you can now go and watch it. And if you've seen the first episode, give me your first impressions on how the show is going so far. I'm excited to read about it. Remember to leave a sub to show some love, and click the little bell to be notified when another video does drop, because it does happen every Friday. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, have a marvelous day.